no secret that we've all had to get used to being on Zoom meetings a lot more lately or other video calls and video conferencing. And there are a lot of intricacies about how to be comfortable on a video call that we've all kind of been thrown headfirst into. So in this little video, I want to give you a download about how to feel more confident when you're in Zoom and how to set up your environment so you feel really good and ready for your video calls. So a lot of the techniques that you've learned in the class or that you will learn in the class will apply directly over to Zoom and video conferencing. But there's some little tips and tricks that are going to help you to feel even better about your presence when you're talking in a very unnatural environment of talking to your screen rather than other people. So the first things to keep in mind again are to get yourself comfortable when you're starting up a call, to take some deep breaths and to really prime yourself for the call. What I really like to do, I'm going to share my screen now and show you how I get ready before I get on my Zoom calls. So sharing my screen, I like to open up a photo booth. And if you have a Mac computer, you will have that. If you have a Windows computer, you'll probably have something comparable to Photo Booth. And basically Photo Booth just enables you to preview your video. I'll show you a way to do this in Zoom as well, but Photo Booth can be a great tool to take it out and make sure before you get on your video call that you have the framing that you want, that you have the lighting that you want, that you have the background that you want, and you can really just get it all dialed in before opening the Zoom meeting or before opening the video conferencing meeting. So it's very helpful. And I like to just take my computer when I'm getting ready, and I like to move it around and just like see where the best framing is, make sure I don't have a bed or something weird in the background, and make sure that I am in the right framing for myself too, that I have enough of myself in the overall video, that I'm not too close, that I'm not too far away. So all of these things can be great. You don't even need to take a video within Photo Booth, but you can just prepare it and you can prepare what the overall image that others are going to be seeing looks like beforehand. So that's a great tip to know about. I'm going to close out Photo Booth now so there's not two of me talking. But again, remember, just when you're getting ready, open up Photo Booth or another program that's similar and just set the scene for it and get ready and maybe even practice moving your hands, moving your body, and just feeling comfortable talking. The next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to talk a little bit about the lighting. So as you can see, I have my window open here and it's causing quite a bit of light to come in from this angle. I might like that. I might feel like it's a little bit too much light. And so I can always go over in Photo Booth beforehand when I'm not on my Zoom call and adjust these things. So if I take down this, then I see that, okay, it might be a little bit darker, but it's also not creating all of that spill light in there. Now you may notice how nicely my face is illuminated, and it's not just a lamp, it's not just natural light, it's actually one of the items that I had discussed from the cheat sheet that I gave you all, which if you haven't gotten that, you can download it for free on my website on the page for this course. But it is a ring light that I have going here that is very beautifully illuminating my face and giving me a little extra light. And so you can see as I move it closer, it gives more. As I move it further away, it gives less. But I love ring lights because they really do just nicely and evenly light your face and take it to the next level. And they're relatively inexpensive too. So it's a great way for video calls as well as any other type of recording of yourself that you may be doing, to give yourself that extra confidence by just having your face really nicely lit. And it also makes you stand out from the background because you are the main illuminated subject and your background is a little bit darker and you can play with the lighting. But I would definitely recommend getting a ring light for all different types of video calls and also recording in general. It's a great, just one tool to up the production quality of your videos. Another thing that you should keep in mind when you're on Zoom is that it might be tempting to look at yourself or at others or have your gaze go all around and be distracted. That's fine when you're listening to others to look wherever you want, but you'll notice that I am looking straight into the camera. And again, when you're talking to people on Zoom and on different video calls, you really want them to feel like you are connecting in with them and talking directly to them. Look at the little green light at the top of your computer, which is right next to the lens of the computer. And that way it'll really feel like you're looking directly at them. Your image may be placed in different parts of the Zoom window, and that can get really distracting sometimes, even watching yourself talking. We're not used to doing that normally. Or you might even just be like looking at yourself a little bit, but that can then make you look over here or look down here, and people won't really feel like you are connecting with them as you're talking to them. So again, look right into that little green light, and people will really feel like you're talking directly to them and addressing them and feel a lot of connection and presence with you, which is what you always want to cultivate, whether it's a YouTube video or a Zoom meeting or any other form of talking on camera. So the last tip that I'm going to leave you with is how to adjust this image if you want to, even further than just with the lighting and just with the framing. So again, I'm going to share my screen. This is where you can get all of those fancy Zoom effects you may have noticed others doing with the virtual background. So I'm going to go here to the virtual background, and here's the preview of it over here. So I'll make this a little bit smaller so we don't get distracted by it. So you can see I have some options. I can blur the background, and that gives a nice like blur effect. If you're not crazy about your background, you don't want people to be distracted by it, then you can just blur it out where it's not as jarring necessarily as having like a completely digital background, like I'll show you with this next example. It's a bit cinematic, and it's a nice way to make your background so it's not the center of focus, but still have what your natural environment is. Now, as I showed you, you can also have more fun and playful backgrounds. They have ones here as presets. You can also go in and you can do a video one, but you can go in and add a background. So what you would do for that is that you would go find a background that you like. So I'm going to start a new window on a Google search, and I'm going to type in, let's see, office virtual background. How about? And lucky for us, because lots of people are using Zoom, there are tons here. So then I can click on one that I like, and I will right click it, and then I will say save image as, and I'm just going to name it background, and I'm going to save it on my desktop, press save. Okay, great. Now I have that background there. So now I'll go back over here, and I'm going to add a image. And so we go here, add image, and then we go to desktop, background.jpg, open, and now I have this fun office image. And so I don't know that anybody would necessarily be fooled into thinking that this was the background that I was in. Obviously, when you move your hands quickly, people can tell, but everybody's very used to that nowadays and they don't mind. But this is a way to completely bump out your background. And this one might be a little bit more professional than, say, the blades of grass. It just depends what type of meeting you're in. And again, remember that you can always go to this blur background if you want something more subtle. Another thing that you can play with is if you go over to the video filters tab, you can give some effects to your video. So you can, this one looks like it changes the contrast and darkens things a little bit. This one makes it black and white. This one makes it a little bit warmer tones. So you can play around with these subtle filters and see if there's one that makes you look a way that you feel very confident and maybe enjoy more than just the basic lighting and the basic color tones. But again, you probably for most meetings don't want to get too carried away with these, although they can be fun. You probably want to keep it relatively simple, but that's a way to add just a subtle little shift in the coloring for your video if you like that. So I'm going to go back to none, and I'm going to close out of this option and stop sharing my screen. And maybe I don't like this. You can always get back to those options. And you can even do this in real time when you're in your video conference or your video call. If you want to subtly change your background mid-call, you realize you have one you don't like, you need to make any adjustments, I would recommend stopping the video and then going in and choosing your virtual background. And then I'm going to send it back to none. All right. And so then I'll do that. And then when I start the video again, it will start it back up without any of the effects on it. So I hope that these tips have helped you. Again, remember to just try out your scene and your environment before getting on the call by using Photo Booth or a program similar to that to check out what the image that your camera on your computer is going to be getting. Remember to look into the green dot, and that is essentially making eye contact with whoever you're speaking with on the other end. It might feel a little unnatural, but in my class, you either learned or you're going to be learning how to get used to talking into a lens. So keep that in mind and just try to make as much eye contact as you can with the lens of your computer. And then finally, you know now how to adjust the background and change the color temperature on your video. So if you want to subtly adjust those things, you'll be able to get the type of image that will be the best suited for whatever meetings and presentations you're doing in Zoom or another video conferencing platform. I hope these tips and tricks helped. And again, if you've already taken my course, congratulations for learning how to become more confident on camera. And if you haven't taken it yet, make sure to head over to my website, nishaburton.com, to the Camera Confidence class. It's very comprehensive. It has so many different tools on how to feel more comfortable on camera, how to feel more confident, and how to really shine through when you're on camera, which we all are having to do so much more in this day and age. So it's great to get that extra level of confidence so you can really present yourself like you want to be presented on camera. So with that, thank you so much for this quick Zoom meeting download about how to be comfortable on video conferencing. And I really appreciate you watching it. Bye, everybody.